Well, well, well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another video. Says Robert John Metcalf in the live chat, who's nailed it. That is my intro, I guess. Oh dear, am I so predictable? Yeah, hello guys. I'm here on Gux today because we're going to be playing a different character. Actually, I'll probably log on to Liz just for a second. And I don't know whether we're actually going to be on Gux, but we're going to play a couple of the new story intros. That should be quite fun. We're going to do a bit of a lore Q&A section, and hopefully get a couple more of like, you know, so there's the story, there's the culture quests for us to do, and then there are just other regular achievements, which nonetheless are content, you know, like that we'll go to some different grottos maybe. I don't know, we'll see. I might also want to grab some maps for stuff like that. So all in good time. We just got another mail. Is this another guild invite? Oh my god. I've gone through a lot of guild invites lately, guys. You can keep sending them. It's nice to have people there to chat to and, you know, ferry you into different meta events and whatever, you know, limited purpose we have for it. But yeah, just keep sending them in. I actually finally cleared out all my mails on this as well, because she had like all the mails throughout the entire story. You know, Isgarin telling me, oh, you're being a bit slow about the artifacts. Would you like some help? Or Pete saying, oh, you're being a bit slow about the skimmer. The Wavehawk, sorry. Would you like some help? You know, shit like that. Anyway, yeah, okay, so I'm starting on Gux. Let's just quickly swap over to Liz here. Liz, whose inventory I have cleaned, as well as her mails. She's currently in the Diessa Plateau, because I just did the Crimson Plateau jumping puzzle. Well, I say I did it. What I did was I loaded the map and just joined on one of these squads. Actually, for the first time ever, over in LFG, there are people like hosting the jumping puzzle. Look at this. But they're like offline. I don't understand what's going on with this squad. This squad has 11 people in it. The commander's like offline or on character select. It says online, but there's no destination. I don't know. I think that's character select. Everyone else is just off. It's just weird. I don't know. Like, you can't actually TP to a friend to those guys. But yeah, checking out Liz's inventory here. We are now fairly clean. So just to take stock of what she's got. She has the Wizard's Ascended Weapon chest, which we got from the vault, which will just give us, you know, any fully stat selectable item that we like. They come in at white originally, which I think initially was the celestial color, was it? But it's kind of good and kind of fitting for an everything. So I'm just going to say, I don't know, some random two-handed. And then what I'm going to use is this Ascended Salvage Kit. No, or I think a research kit, actually. Basically, I get a choice to Ascended Salvage it, in which I think I'll get infusions, maybe? Or a research kit, which will give me research notes. 250 research notes, which is actually handy. Research notes are really frustrating for me, and I hate when I get to a crafting moment where I have to have a bunch, and I just don't have them ready. So yeah, what else we got? Well, we have incursion weapon tokens from the Fractal event. They only give you exotic stuff. I think I'll delete those, but I haven't assessed it. All the fish we fished up across the course of the Let's Play, plus some unidentified gear. Some of the teal petals, I only got 3 in the end. That was a terrible use of one of these, but hey. The Seer Enchanted Focus, which I'm pretty sure I can delete, but I haven't actually checked. Even more fish. Some collectibles I got from doing the Crimson Plateau. So then there's these, the 2 legendary things from the 2 map comps in the last part. The Gift of the Tides, the book from the Kitty book. Maybe we'll do that quest today. And then I've got Restless Captain token for gloves, for boots. I have Alliance Field Operative boots and gloves, and then a box for the shoulders. So I don't really know where I got this from. I think a fairly fair criticism that I've got of this X-Pack, sadly, is I'm getting like all the skins at the end. I like to see the skins, know what they are, earn them as I go through the story. You know, I didn't rush through this story. It feels kind of awkward to like beat it, and then it's like, oh, now you can start looking like an Alliance Field Operative, and oh, now you can start looking like a Restless Captain. I don't know. I get that there should be some stuff at the end. Obviously, there's prestige that you grind for, or so on, so on, so on. But yeah, so there's no scroll for this place either, is there? You just have to foot the bill. You just have to pay the high cost for the silver and then go. So let's see what we got here. So I have a token for the gloves, which I already have. Ah, I have a token for the boots, which I didn't already have. So there you go. So we now have 2 of these pieces. This was the quite good-looking skin set. Man, my throat is, like, not feeling good. What is up with that? Too much talking lately, maybe? Something like that? So then there's gloves here. So I could have paid with Karma, is that right? No, I paid with Karma anyway. What are the 2 tabs for? Oh, just, like, what armor set you initially get. All this aggro, and it doesn't matter. Since we're past the exotic tier anyway. What have we got here? The chromatic double harp. So we need lots of unusual coins. I don't really get farming those right now. Actually, maybe I do. So one thing I think I'll open the episode with. I've got a lot I want to talk about with the lore. But one thing I want to open the episode with. I was talking to Kerry about this. This mirror farm thing, okay? So she actually dug... Actually, I think a few of you guys have shared these, but it was actually Kerry that linked this to me. There is a map online made by Jaoshu. Jaoshu, is that how I say that name? Who's marked where all the mirrors are and where all the chests for the mirrors are. So Liz has 8 key charges. She doesn't have 20, that you lose them at the end of the week, right? But one of the masteries gives you some key charges when you first enter a map. So I have 8. So I'm going to go to a mirror and I'm going to see what we got. So apparently there's a mirror on this island right at the beginning of the map. I really think that Arenanet should have marked the mirrors in-game. I don't know. Would that have been too much? But it's such an easily missable feature in my opinion. I don't know. I've done 1 of these. We're on part 12 now. I've done 1. And that includes all the off-stream playing that I've been doing, which is also an incredible amount. All right, let's volunteer, I guess, because they shoved me into an empty map. Man, the fucking mega server stuff. Okay, so we interact with the mirror. We have to break them all in less than 3 ammo. Wait, is it like in Grothmar where you just click on the fucking thing? No. We just failed that completely. What? Weird. I definitely missed there, but it counted as a hit. Is it because of NA ping? It might be. 88 ping? Could be that. So I get, yeah, there you go. I do. I get unusual coins from that. I get 3 sap. And now if you look at the map, there's a chest here because I'm kind of close to it. But actually loads of them have spawned. See, and I didn't realize this. I opened just the 1 chest last time. But a bunch have spawned. And, wait, what? I need 2 key charges to open it? What happened to my 8 keys? They're gone. Going first person, it's clunky as fuck, it's laggy. I now have 0 because I changed map. Ah! Oh, that doesn't work, does it? That's not very good. Do you know what I think would be another good, really thing of QOL as well in game, right? I'll try to remember this for a recommendations video at the end of the year. You know how I can hold left alt and I can left click to move this around? You know how in a squad I had a variety of them? Wouldn't it be cool if you didn't need a squad for that and you just had a variety of different colored things? So like I get a red one and a green one and a blue one. So I can say, I can look at Josh's map and I can say, okay, 1 here, 1 here, 1 is here, 1 is here, 1 is here, 1 is here, and 1 is here. Those are all the chests that just spawned from this 1 mirror. A mirror here, and discreetly, a fucking chest just spawned all the way over here. Anyway, I just marked all of those, but they've all been overwritten because you only get 1. If that just marked them all for me, that would be epic, right? And I know what you're thinking about. How would you remove them, WP? Well, you just click back on the spot that you're already on. There you go. I don't know quite how that would work in parties, because it already colors them in parties. But I'm sure there could be a way around that. That would just be such nice QOL, you know? Anyway. So I guess we're not going to show off the small obscured chests and the coins. But there you go. All right, let's go into our home instance for the day. You need 2 ethereal key charges to open your own conjured doorway. Squad markers and party system needs a revamp. Well, I hate words like that. I hate the word overhaul. I hate the word revamp. Rework is okay just about. Because, like, I don't know, like I don't want to give them some vague sense of, oh, just redo it all. Like, it has to be quite precise what you ask for. Like, I was asking for something a lot like the Wizard's Vault for years. But then, like, the details don't quite line up or whatever, you know, like, I don't know. Also, it's off-putting, isn't it? No one wants to, like, design the thing. Well, they should. I mean, geez, they're in game design. Maybe they do want to design it. I would hope so. The community likes to design stuff. There are good Blish pathing modules. Yeah, there are. I have Tekkit on at the moment, and I'm sure Tekkit actually marks them all. The thing is, I'm doing everything via TinyHUD at the moment, and this UI is just not as good, unfortunately. Like, I really hate that I have to click into filter, and I have to filter. The current map isn't on by default. You know, and I have to turn the filter options on and off. It's just, Blish is excellent. You just right-click, and it gives you the drop-down. Also, I've got a problem. So I played a bit of Ura, by the way. Ura looks infinitely lamer than Ceres and HTCM. HTCM was a beautiful mix of art, and it was really well tuned and blah, 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 blah. Ceres did not really have the art. It had some art, but the mechanics were really good at Ceres. This year, I don't know, man. Ura's just like... I don't know. I'll see how I go with the prog. But anyway, people use like timer packs for it. I thought I was set up, but it's not working. So I'm a bit disappointed with that. I need to figure that out, or just go back to Blish HUD. I'll have to message the guys in the TinyHUD Discord. Anyway, so we get our mining stuff. We get our logging stuff. And we go over here. And we use the Bond of Faith, and that was pretty good, and we're done. Well, actually, no, we're not done, because what about, like, cloth and... Okay, so I need to get these first, really. And what about my, like, Heart of Thorns chests? Okay, they're... Yeah, like, where are they? Ooh, they're on an island over here. Ooh. Okay, so this map's kind of not as good, really. If you're going to be a really nerdy, really dry, really fucking just dead inside loser that only cares about how quickly you get in and out of the instance, and if you are that guy, I encourage you to live for life, you know? Where's your soul gone, all right? If you are that guy, this map is not very good. And tangentially, this is completely unrelated. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm going to swap back to the other homestead. Because I like the vibe over there. It's not because I'm dead inside. All right. That's only you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably stay with this. It's nicer here, but it is a bit more spread out. Right, okay. Let's get in our bench. Let's get in the law bench. Let's get in the therapy bench. Ready? Let's lay down. Let's let therapist WP soothingly discuss matters of law and Tyria. Oh no, we're going to sit today. We're not going to lay, we're going to sit because we've come upon a revelation. In FF, you can do the equivalent of /talk during other emotes, right? And it works really nicely. Okay. Milk Bucket says, I actually kind of like that they decided not to care about efficiency for this. Yeah, you know, it's one of those sad conversations that I hate to catch myself in, that I hate to recognize my thought patterns when it comes up. But it was the same with guild halls, right? It's like, here's a big fancy new guild hall, and all anyone really cares about is how quickly can you get to the gathering things, how quickly can you get to the services you want, you know? And it's a shame. It's really sad to treat the game that way. Like, look at even before they started adding new guild halls, it was a question between the two at Heart of Thorns, right? And like the Lost Precipice is such a big and such a beautiful map, and it's got so much stuff, but like there's no services out there, so nobody sees them. Like, I don't know. Right, okay, so some Q&A. I heard you guys liked Q&A. Actually, well, one person's going to talk about that here. Let's see. I'm loading them up. I cleared my screenshots folder out last night, which seems to get very full very, very, very quickly. Okay. So let's see what I have here. First of all, from Relifed. One of my favourite open world solo builds is your old Celestial Tempest build. Thank you. But on Catalyst and with a spear, so fairly different. You then use Relic of Rivers and the energy sigil to provide yourself with alacrity, as Catalyst traits will give you the quickness. I can definitely recommend trying it if you want an interesting spear build, and it also translates well to Evoker, though I prefer the Catalyst variant. like, I get it. I'm not trying to take it away from you if you like this build, but I don't really... I like the idea of the Relic of Rivers, but I don't really like dodging unless I'm also doing pressure with the dodge, right? So Mirage dodging via Infinite Horizon or Dune Cloak is fun. Daredevil dodging is fun. Vindicator dodging is fun. For all of those guys, I think the Relic of Rivers really shines. I don't really like dodging on other... And so, like, we saw on my Fire Ellie, the specialized element Fire Ellie, it's also okay there because you're getting the fire dodge. But just dodging when it's like a 0 time, it just feels really slow, and it just feels like, why am I doing this? Like, I'd rather just hit the mower or whatever, you know, because things die so quick in the open mod. So I'm not sure I'm a super fan of the concept, but yeah, I mean, I kind of do think it's finally time where a new set of open world builds might be fun, specifically because of Pirate Queen. But I'll tell you, if Arenanet do split relics into multiple slots, I would definitely do a new set of open world builds at that point. Definitely. And we got so many new specs now and weapons. Well, some new specs and new weapons. Okay, so anyway, over to the lore. Sammy Bree says, maybe Sidoni didn't know he did a lesser version on Waiting Sorrow. Okay, let me rephrase that. Maybe Sidoni didn't know that Isgarin did a lesser version on Waiting Sorrow, and he assumed that Isgarin used Ancora on her to ascend her. Hence this line, you used our sacred right and you reduced it to a cheap parlor trick. Meaning, you're just passing out Ascension to anyone you see fit. That's what I got from that line. Like, Isgarin was Oprah. You get to ascend, you get to ascend. In the eyes of Sidoni. I don't actually know what that last sentence is. Oh! It's when she's, like, giving people cars and stuff, isn't it? You get a car! And you get a car! Is that a thing? Isn't there an edit of that online where it's like that she's throwing bees at the audience? Is that right? But the bee expansion was last year, so, you know. I'm not sure I see it. Yeah, that's how I interpreted that line too. I realized I've been a bit of a dumbass with my phraseology. Like, in the past few parts, I've been saying, yeah, I assumed it was metaphorical. That's not really what I'm trying to express, is it? Right? Yeah, so, like, I'm kind of in the camp that maybe he just didn't know. And that is a great way for us to wiggle through this. Sidoni didn't know that a lesser one was done. I don't know. There's another theory, though, that one of you guys has got in a second. Sammy had a second comment here, which was definitely it is a plot hole with Saida and Vlox. It completely took me out of immersion. I immediately said, how the fuck does she know the Inquest leader? ... It threw me for a loop. Definitely a fuck up. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. And someone thumbed that one up too, so there's someone else out there that feels the same. Mr. Elusive79 says, I got a bit agitated when on a skimmer I was trying to get to all the grottos through those small, narrow underwater caves. I was getting sort of claustrophobic, which I didn't know was something I suffered with. Really weird. Was a bit better when I changed the viewpoint of my character to make it smaller. And of course, swimming, not skimming. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. You know, skimmers are the big thing of the X-Pack. The skimmer way is their zone, and yet we're encouraged to swim, not skim. Nice little phrase there. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Speaking about claustrophobia, someone's made a VR demo of the Nutty Putty Cave incident, which I seem to remember talking about during the Janthia Wilds Let's Play for some reason. Not the VR demo. But if you guys don't know, it was some kid, some teenager, or maybe it was an adult, I don't know. But they went caving. There's a specific bit where you're supposed to be crawling through a really thin tunnel. And there's like a landmark, so much as you get landmarks. It's like, hey, at this wall, take the first left. And it gets a bit narrow in there, but trust me, you'll get through. It's fine. So the guy's caving. He's on his own, I guess. He's at the back of the group. He sees the landmark. He takes a left. He's crawling through the tunnel, and it's getting really narrow, and he's thinking, yeah, but I was encouraged to keep going. Yeah, oh, God, it's getting really narrow. And then he gets to basically a vertical shaft, so he, like, stuffs himself in this shaft where his legs are above his head. There's no way to get back out now because gravity's pulling him down, and he's in like a Pringles tube, and it turns out he had read the wrong landmark. It wasn't the right landmark. He was not going the right way. He was in a dead end, and he got stuck there. And there was a whole rescue effort, and they nearly got him out. Like, people talk about the tragedy of that story a lot, but the real tragedy is they were really close to getting him out. But, like, one of the ropes or struts or something that they connected to pull him out broke. It like shattered. It like broke the rescuer's arm or something, by the way. Like the rescuer had a serious injury too, where their whole like forearm got ripped up because of this thing. Anyway, so the guy got plunged back into the hole further than where he was. And if you're like upside down like that, the blood rushes into your head, and he ended up dying there. And they even in death, they couldn't get him out. They just cemented him in. They just poured concrete into the hole, and that was it. Anyway, really claustrophobic, really horrifying. My story of it there is like not as harrowing as reading the real thing. But someone's done a VR demo of it where you yourself can actually crawl through the fucking hole this guy crawled through. I don't know how they did that, because they don't have scans of the exact tunnel. It's not like someone went down there with a GoPro and saw what it was like now. It's all cemented in. So I assume some artistic liberties have been made there. But anyway, it kind of caught people by storm because, hey, there's no good VR games coming out, are there? They're all just little demos, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, yeah, claustrophobic. We'll be experiencing that in the giveaways later. Look forward to that. Anthony Marangelli. Dude, you have an awesome name. Is that really your name? And it rhymes. So he's quoting 2 hours in. He says, what if the memory wipe spell and ascending with Ancora are 2 different things? Well, look, Isgarin described his lesser ascension as the same, but I think you're onto something here. Ready? Isgarin did use Ancora to evolve Waiting Sorrow, which pissed Sidoni off. That's why Sidoni went with that punishment. But Isgarin still wiped Waiting Sorrow's memory because it's what he thought was right, or because he wanted to save her from the madness that Coda was causing her. I think Waiting Sorrow going mad from Coda and Isgarin wanting to wipe her memory before giving her all this power to make sure she wouldn't go mad with the power is a very good instance of why Isgarin has his memory wipe philosophy. I think you're right. Guys, I'm done with this conversation now because of these comments. I think we've got it. I'm going to give you the definitive timeline. You know the start of The Weakest Link where the lights go down? Right, the round begins. All right, I want you to imagine that. If you've never seen The Weakest Link, pause this, go check it out. Weakest Link's best clips on YouTube. Watch Anne Robinson being a bitch to people. Lots of fun. Right, okay, so here we go. Isgarin fully ascends, and his memory's fine. That lady that appears on the island, I forgot her name again, the crying seer, she tries to ascend, fails, but oh look, her memory is fine. She still remembers her brother. She still remembers her sister, right? Nowhere in the game do we have examples of seers losing their memories, whether they succeed or not. So memory loss is not involved in the greater thing. Okay. So anyway, Isgarin is like, you know, he's the young uppity pupil. He's getting inside Oni's face about the Massart. He's a bit of a renegade. He's going rogue. Isgarin is at the top of the chain, you know, in terms of his own ascension. So maybe he uses Ancora a lot. He finds Waiting Sorrow. He takes pity on her. Maybe he doesn't like Coda. I don't know. I don't know what that bit is. And here's how I would write this story. Ready? Event 1, he finds Waiting Sorrow. Event 2... he purges her memory. Immediately. He tries to just make her forget about Coda. That's his first thing. I would say that's the first event that happens all on its own. He thinks she's better, but Coda gets back. Alright? So event 3 is he's like, fuck, it's not enough to just rip these memories away from her. Coda is going to keep returning. She needs to ascend. Shit. Okay, fine. I'm going to go get Ancora and I'm going to do it. So now he ascends her. Another little cleanup of her memories as he does so. And it works. Hey, that's pretty good. Very nice. And he's reflecting on it. And he's thinking to himself, you know, the ascension was one thing, but the memory wipe was another. Uh-oh. Sidoni's figured it out. Shit. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, I did use Ancora. You're banished. Okay, so I'm banished. Right, so now what's happening? Event 4 is the banishment. Event 5, the seers are all dying. Event 6, he's thinking to himself, fuck, man, I think I can do my own ascension. Like, fuck these guys. I'm going to research my own. I'm going to figure my own out. Sidoni can take that one away, but at the end of the day, the Forgotten are learning how to do their own, right? The gods learned how to do their own. I'm going to figure my own one out. I'm going to try. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to try. And so he creates Lesser Ascension. And the entire time that he's creating Lesser Ascension, he's thinking to himself, you know what? That memory wipe stuff's pretty handy. I'm going to keep that in there. And then finally, Event 7, he ascends Mabon. And the timeline is as it is. There are 0 plot holes with what I just said. There is 0 confusing about what I just said. Everyone's motivations all the way along the line works. We still get the juicy question of, is this ethical? And we get to reflect on that with Vlox and the Golems as this story goes along. That would mean that Waiting Sorrow has the full ascension. You could tweak everything I just said for it to be lesser, but I don't know. So anyway, that's kind of where I am. I think, you know, I threw the poll up on the last part. That's where I am with it. And of course, this needs to be expressed in plain English in the story. And I do consider it a failing of VOE that we're speculating about this right now. I don't think this is the realm of fun speculation. I don't think this is the realm of Dark Souls storytelling that titillates people. This is like stuff that should just be there. And on that note, yesterday I was thinking about this stuff, nerd as I am, and I just want to return to that Dark Souls conversation for 1 second, all right? And I want to like identify why it works for Souls or why it works for FromSoft, okay? It depends how prevalent the story is, right, that we're speculating about. It's okay to see the staircase with the steps for the gods and the steps for the mortals and just kind of wonder about that and get giddy excited about that. Because it's not like because we're dealing with ancient history. It's okay for FromSoft to hire George R.R. Martin to do a bunch of world building, right, for Elden Ring, and then they destroy it and they call it ancient history and it doesn't matter. That's okay, right? It's okay to give people tantalizing hints about the Massar and the Seers and stuff when it's Guild Wars 1 and they are not a main part of the story. It's okay to give people tantalizing tidbits about the Seers and the Massar and stuff in Ara explorable mode because, again, they weren't at the center of the story, right? The story was about the new races fighting this Elder Dragon rising and the focus wasn't necessarily there. It's not okay to be vague and breadcrumby about characters we regularly interact with. It's not okay to do it about main motivations for Isgaran and Sidoni and Waiting Sorrow, who are people that are right there. That's where it starts to get really fiddly about. Characters who are ultimately incentivized to tell us about this stuff. And I know that they're trying to sideskirt some of this by writing it into their just characterization that they don't talk about things. And they've put memory wipes into the story and stuff. But at the end of the day, when they're trying to be when you get scenes like that Isgar and Sidoni flashback scene, that's a place for de facto information about main story beats. And we shouldn't be vague about it. We shouldn't be vague about what the 3 White Mantle really did last year in Janthir Wilds. That's the main story. We shouldn't be asking weird questions about like how the Forge operates, right? And what exactly were they doing? Were they them or were they just the... were the White Mantle the Titans exactly, or were they just resummoning the Titans? Like, questions like that shouldn't be getting asked. That's not fun to speculate about anymore. And so that's where I think that they're failing. You know, I don't want to speculate about the specifics of the ethics of the Fractal Project and stuff. I want to get into it. You know, the Fractal Project was the main story in Secrets of the Obscure, or in large part. Who Epoch was a big part of the main story. What exactly Zodja went through with her own memory loss is a big part of the main story. And these are things that I don't think... I worry that the writers look at people on the forums and they look at streamers maybe, I don't know. They look at, you know, live chats and stuff and they think, oh, isn't this fun? Look, they're speculating about it. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it's actually just like plot holes, right? It's not fun to wonder about who the leader of the Inquest is when you're kind of half treating it like we do know and you're half treating us like we don't, you know? The FromSoft style of storytelling works when we're dealing with things that are like tertiary to the main event. Or even secondary. That's kind of what I want to say, and that's what I didn't say on the last part. I think I'm talking sense there. Maybe not. Right. So anyway. Next comment. I still believe that Mabon was the first ascended by Isgarin. So yeah, timeline was Mabon first. Now, this was two of you guys in a back and forth, and I thought it was all really good, so I'm just going to let you guys go with this. The leader of the Inquest is List. Now that I like. I still believe Mabon was the first ascended by Isgarin and his altered ritual. Secrets of the Obscure was very clear on that. Especially the memory of Mabon in the collection Strength of the Unseen. It could even be that alterations were made specifically for Mabon, as Masart wouldn't be permitted to go to Castora, and memory removal, so making sure that it isn't some Masart trick and he won't run away with the power. I like that theory, by the way. That's very cool. That was probably consulted and approved by Sidoni, so Isgarin didn't have any problems with it. Possibly because A, Mabon was from a powerful race, capable himself, and was apologetic towards the Seers, or B, because Isgarin needed assistance with the Worldspire project, and it was very important to the Seers since Sidoni personally stopped him moments before he went to help the Masar and forgotten fighting against Zaitan. Or C, it could be the early stage of the war when the Seers could expect that the Masar will calm eventually, not that it will result in total war between them. That would say Sorrow was second, but without permission of Sidoni, probably because there wasn't time to wait, since she was about to go crazy because of Coda's rage. Okay, so that's one interpretation. To which Zuhan came in and said this. I believe Secrets of the Obscure was written with the clear idea that Mabon was both the first to ascend and the first to join the Wizard's Court. However, when Arenanet wrote Janthir Wilds, they, for whatever reason, decided that they wanted to make Waiting Sorrow first. So they took this line from the Strength of the Unseen achievement, and they changed its meaning. So here's the line. Secrets of the Obscure, guys. Mabon is speaking. Mabon says, we're currently settled above the Northern Isles, so Isgarin can watch the Codan again. They migrated south already. One has taken refuge with Vas, the Forgotten that Isgarin is courting. She seems curious about us. They both do. By the way, the next year's got to be Forgotten and getting into Isgarin's love life. Right? I'm ready for it. So that's the line. We're currently settled above the Northern Isles so that Isgarin can watch the Codan. They've migrated south already. One's taken refuge with Vas, i.e. Waiting Sorrow. The Forgotten that Isgarin is courting. She seems curious about us. They both do. So it's clear that this line was meant to mean Sorrow only came to Vas after she migrated south together with her people. But Isgarin's journal in Janthir Wilds already states otherwise. And we should take it at its words, despite the journal containing some very dubious characterization for Isgarin. That's the same journal that talked about him screaming about the Realm of Torment and all of that. This just looks plot holey to me, guys. It looks like they didn't figure a timeline out for the Wizards. Zhang says, I also suspect that the change for Waiting Sorrow to be the first has already been done by the end of Secrets of the Obscure. To quote the Strength of the Unseen's dialogue. By the way, this is the quest where they were all standing around at Gendarin Fields. If you guys remember, we were getting the ghostly memory things. So here was the conversation. It was Isgarin talking to Mabon. They were talking about Eparch. And Isgarin said, you didn't see it, what Eparch did to them. And Mabon says, tell me then. And Isgarin says, he clears his throat. Eparch is hideous. And Mabon says, the creature from Nyos? I thought you were friends. I still have the things he's left behind at the Wizard's Tower in my chamber. So back when this was the only source of information, this piece of dialogue only semi-confirmed it, but it suggested that Mabon didn't get to meet Eparch before Eparch was thrown back to Nyos. And it was then confirmed by the Fractal. By the end... But then, at the end of Secrets of the Obscure, they put in the memory in which Isgarin told Eparch he didn't need to fear being hungry because Ascension could help him achieve equilibrium, just as it had helped Waiting Sorrow. So what does that mean? That dates Waiting Sorrow before Epoch. Because he wouldn't know that it achieves equilibrium in Epoch if he didn't already have Waiting Sorrow as an example. So it goes Waiting Sorrow gets equilibrium, then Isgarin says, oh, Epoch, you can get equilibrium too. So Epoch is definitely after Waiting Sorrow, and Epoch is definitely before Mabon. Mabon never met Epoch. Mabon was curious about him, and he'd left his stuff over in his chambers. So we do have a 1, 2, 3 there. It definitely goes Waiting Sorrow, then Epoch, then Mabon. It has to, for any of this to make sense. So Zhujiang, I think, has got it here. I see that as the setup for Janthiel Wilds to complete the change of Ascension Order with Isgarin's journal. So yeah, what are we saying here? They kind of suggested very early on that maybe Mabon was first, but that can't be the case now. It can't. Even within Secrets of the Obscure, that can't have been it. Also, Condition C, you mentioned doesn't work with the scene in which Mabon and Isgarin met. In that scene, Isgarin literally said, a Massart without bloodlust, how humble you are. Like, doesn't that sound like the war was only just starting? That sounds like the war has been going on for ages, and the Massart have done some pretty bad things to the Seers already. Yes, it does. Look, before the war, here in Visions of Eternity, we're getting glimpses to before the war, right? And Sidoni is not letting them into the summit just because, what? He thinks they haven't contributed, right? And because they're being derivative with their architecture. Like, the Seers are being snobs before the war. They're not calling them bloodthirsty. They're just being cagey snobs. That's all. And Isgarin, before the war, was vouching for the Massart, okay? Isgarin was vouching to bring them into the fold. He was butting head against Sidoni. Eventually, Isgarin suggesting they're bloodthirsty. But Mabon proves him wrong, or reminds him of his younger self, I guess. I don't know. Another small thing about the World Spire. I never get the sense that the project has anything to do with Sidoni. Of course, it might. I'd love to see that. But this line from Secrets of the Obscure, and it's Mabon speaking, Isgarin is fearful of intervening with the dragons when Sidoni stopped him from doing it that night, ... I don't see how it's connected to the World Spire. I mean, the Spire barely appeared in this whole monologue that I quoted from. I personally interpret Sidoni as somehow knew the dragons were important. So Sidoni told Isgarin, don't fuck with them, they're important. And that's how Arenanet justified Isgarin not helping us as well. Yeah, I think that will make sense to me. Sorry, I'm kind of on Zhuhang's side here. Okay, and then finally, guys, we have a hell of a wall of text here. From SDO. Oh, sorry, in chat, Racket Dude says, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, but unable to word last video in the when you were speaking about Dark Souls type storytelling. Yeah. And, you know, there is some fun in this. There is some fun in speculating about these characters, but I think that the fatal flaw for me, if they're gonna do this about living characters that are around us, is I really want a lot of opportunities to press F and have the commander say, tell me. And then Isgarin rebukes me. And then I want to be able to press F, and in a different way, 5 minutes later, I want to be able to ask him and get rebuked. And I want to be able to press F, and in a different way, do it again. Visions of Eternity, they have improved with this, because in terms of voice acting, the commander has been very pushy, and the commander is very fucked off with it. And I think that's good. But I need a lot more, like even more. I want more opportunities, and I want to be able to be even meaner to him. Give me ferocious options where I can be mean, so that when I, the player, and I think a lot of players are feeling that, we can keep expressing it. Then I feel like I'm indulging it, then it's entertaining, then it's a popcorn moment. But for now, it feels like a very thin way for them to just try to not really lay shit out, you know, and they're just, it's a thin way for them to excuse a timeline they themselves might not be confident in. I don't know. And again, look, I'm not opposed to retcons when it comes to this. If I was Arenanet, if I was in that writing room, I'd be saying, look, let's fucking figure it out. For real, let's figure it out internally. Very de facto. And any time I see something on the public wiki that is, like, contradictory to that, I would retcon it. I would seriously say, look, guys, the dialogue was slightly wrong here. We're tweaking it. Sorry. just mea culpa. Just say, look, it was complicated and we... Like, put those tweaks in, retcons. Figure it out for yourself, and where your product doesn't line up, don't hide behind, oh, history is flexible. No, no, no. Anyway. Right, let's get on in. So, here's a nice big one, and it's very complimentary and good. Look, the tip, guys, if you're looking to get your messages highlighted, just insult me. Just insult me? No, not that. What's the word? Compliment me. Someone did insult me in the comments the other day. They were like, oh, you're so negative. It's like, man, what do you want? There are thousands of fucking streamers out there that will just play it and turn off their brains and be nice about everything. I'm reviewing the product. It's not always going to be positive. If you can't handle it being positive all the time, it's not the content for you. I am not here to sit here and say it's a perfect 10 out of 10 product. It will inevitably be a 9 out of 10 product, as all are, and we'll just talk about where things can be better. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think we're being insulting. I think we're being constructive, all right? You need to have the emotional maturity to be able to do that. If you don't, you need to insulate yourself, not just from my content, but I think a lot of the internet, frankly, right? There will be complaints. I don't take that as a fault. Like they said something to the effect of, oh, you've always got something to complain about. Yeah, welcome to the real world. Right, it's just not an adult perspective. Anyway. All right, here we go. SEO RYY. The Q&A sections are one of my favourite pieces of content I'm consuming, so they're really exciting. Okay, well, if you say so. Okay, on topic, 3 things. So, number one. I think you're trying too hard to make something of the ethics about the Wizard's Ascension. I always thought it was pretty simple. Once you're a part of the Astral Ward and you fulfill whatever criteria is necessary and you get to choose to be ascended, you will simply have the talk with Isgarin about the fact it will wipe your memories temporarily, as we do know eventually you get them back. And by the way, big side note there. Hold on to that. And the reasons for that, i.e. removing biases and that. Everyone can choose not to be ascended. I do think there's some weird gotcha, I don't think there's some weird gotcha or ethically questionable aspect about that. Initially, it may have been an inherent trait of the Ascension ritual to us, but now we have a concrete and reasonable justification as to why the memories got wiped. It would only be ethically questionable if people weren't aware that that's what's going to happen. Also, does every single member of the Astral Ward and the Wizard's Court get ascended eventually? I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure that you can still be a part of it without the power and the memory wipe. Having that choice completely removes any morality out of it for me. Okay, yes, hold on. I think there's been a miscommunication. I agree with everything you just said. If these people are in the know... I mean, I thought I said this out loud. If Zodja knew... Okay, wait. Look, here's the ethical quibble. It's not enough... He's lying. Okay. If Zodja knows that she's going to lose her memory because of the removal of biases and all of that, and she consents anyway, right? I agree. 99% of it is fine. There's not some big gotcha if she knows. And I also agree that I think she did know. I think they're all aware. However, I do think, and you're right, it's more of a small thing. It's more of a quibble. It's more of a nitpick. I do think there is a conversation if Isgarin has been purposely choosing to do it. If there's an option for Ascension that doesn't have a wet memory wipe, but he just doesn't tell them, I think there is something there. I think that there is a reason to be upset about that. I don't think he should be deceiving his wizards. And I think they would be reasonably justified to be going into a story about that. Okay, so let's just... And I'll try to put a fine point on it. All right, I'm Mabon. And I'm Isgarin. Okay, so Mabon says, hey, I'd really like to ascend. Oh, yes, I can do it, but you must understand, the ritual will remove your memories. It's so that you don't have the baggage of the past. Is that okay? Oh, I don't know, actually. I think I'm fairly level. Do you think I'm fairly level? Yes, that's why you're here in the first place. I myself... No, wait. Yes, you're fairly level. All right, well, okay, can I not just have the ritual and keep my memories? Oh, no, that's not possible. All right, well, if you say so, yeah, it kind of makes sense. And then I go for it. Meanwhile, Isgarin himself, and then, like, there's a deceit there, right? Isgarin himself is ascended and got to keep his memories. Like, as long as he's not lying at that moment, as long as that doesn't happen, I don't think there's a story. But if that does happen, maybe we'll get something out of it. But again, as I mentioned a few episodes ago, it's a dodgy story for Arenanet to write because, like, surely they know, right? Like, Isgarin was so blasé about revealing that fact a minute ago, right? Isgarin was very chill, telling not just the commander, but Ritlock and Saida as well. He was very chill, saying, "Oh yeah, the full thing doesn't have the memory loss. I did the memory loss." Like, it doesn't really make sense. He would be more cagey with that info if it really was a gotcha. So 99%, I agree with your point one here. I don't think it's a gotcha. We probably have made a bit too much of it. Right, moving on. Number 2. I do think we do not yet know which of the two Waiting Sorrow went through, and I do think we will eventually find out. But I don't think it matters at this moment, nor does it create a plot hole, nor does it worsen the story. I think the memory wipe is entirely separate from the Ascension, and whether Waiting Sorrow got the real big one or the smaller adjusted one, the memory wipe still happened regardless for her to free her from her destiny as the voice of Coda, which is what drove her insane and what Isgarin wanted to protect her from. Does it free her from her destiny? I mean, Coda in theory could still be out there, right? We could actually return to this, right? I don't think it has to be one or the other because of either the memory loss or the immense power connection to Ancora directly. It could still be either without contradicting any established law. Well, with the exception that Sidoni's banishment doesn't make any... Sorry, Sidoni's curse doesn't make much sense if she only got the lesser one. It doesn't make sense. That is a plot hole. All right, and then 3... I thought of the Ascension ritual as more of a religious thing than a concern of power, which to me means Sidoni's issue with Isgarin using either of the two Ascension rituals on Waiting Sorrow wasn't about some non-seer getting the power, but rather about the mistrust of Isgarin going behind his back and betraying their religion, their faith, whatever that might have been for the seers, and therefore banning him and exiling him is more of a symbolic nature than a pragmatic and preventative one. Yeah, but you say all this, but it was about the curse, right? And it's no small thing to create all the fog around the island and everything, right? It's not just symbolic. It was about keeping him away from Ancora. There was a pragmatism to it. It was both. Similar to how religions of all kinds will shun their members for various practices, whether that's gay marriage, eating holy animals, working on the Sabbath, drinking alcohol, or any of that kind of thing. But never really intervene when these people do it in other communities. I know that's a grand simplification, but there have been wars for these reasons. How eventually Christianity split over some of these issues, with one side not allowing certain practices on their ideas over ranks, but being okay with others doing it in their own community. Sidoni doesn't really care about how many people Isgarin has ascended, or would eventually continue to ascend, but rather about the fact that he isn't supposed to do it as one of them, as one of his community, and that banning Isgarin from that community, forcing him into isolation with no flock, would be much more severe punishment than keeping him there, but simply preventing him from his ascension rituals for other non-seers. Essentially, what you're doing is a gross misuse of our holy ritual and abuse of my trust, and therefore you have no place among us anymore, so leave, and whatever you choose to do on your own is no concern of mine anymore. I agree with all of that. I don't think at any level we've dismissed any of that. I think all of that is rolled into it, yeah, but I don't think it's the only thing. I think so far the story's been great. Way better than what Janthir left us on, anyways. Yes, I agree too. I'm kind of mad that they just never addressed that horribly inconsistent ending of Janthir Wilds. They likely never will. I just hope that they don't fundle the ending again. Well, hold on that note, that you're mad they didn't address the end of Janthir Wilds. You got to give them time, all right? This stuff doesn't pop out of nowhere. The community only just got that patch and reacted to that patch 3 months ago. I mean, Christ, guys, I was in the middle of an Oblivion Let's Play, stopped to play that patch, and I haven't even got back to that playthrough yet. We're already here. There's been barely any time. I think they will address it. I think they will look at it. But the earliest I would expect that is the next story patch. It's going to be after Christmas, right? Or maybe the next full-blown X-Pack, you know? Just as we get an End of Dragons 2, in spirit, right? Dealing with Raisu Palace and stuff. We might get a Janthir Wilds 2, dealing with the Foundry and all of that again, you know, like, to be very reductive about it. I'm not miffed or upset about this expansion not going into more of those details, because, like, They haven't had time. And it's not just that they haven't had time to hear what the community says. They didn't have time to really assess what they themselves wrote or really notice what they fucked up. Presumably, they thought they wrote something really coherent when it came out. You know? So yeah. Somewhat off topic. My copium... Okay, now this is another huge topic. Somewhat off topic. My copium is that I do think at the end of the day, these mini-X packs are the trilogy that ends Guild Wars 2 and leads into Guild Wars 3. No new mini-X pack announced still. I think Guild Wars 3 is closer to release than people think. What was supposed to be standalone expansions have become a directly connected trilogy. Playing Janthir Wilds or VOE without the previous ones is completely impossible story-wise. And that leads us into Ascending and a new era of players protecting Tyria. You think like the whole population world is going to ascend or something? I don't know. I don't like it. On like a lot of levels, I don't agree with this. One is like a personal... like none of these are facts that I'm going to give you, right? Like I don't have any facts. I can't de facto say anything here. But like I really don't think Guild Wars 3 should be set on Tyria. Maybe they'll do it, and yeah, maybe you're right. It's a whole generation of ascended people because the World Spire gets completely fucked and there's no way, and we're, so to speak, chum in the water. And it's about the gods again or something. I don't know. Maybe, is that satisfying? Maybe they'll do that, and maybe that's what they're building up. But why can't it just be that that's more fodder for Guild Wars 2's continued story? What I want to do is just give us the broader perspective here, right? Like... Guild Wars 2 was about the dragons. All of its branding, the fucking game icon that I'm looking at on my taskbar right now as I speak into this microphone, that is a dragon in the shape of a 2, okay? It was the dragon game. So naturally, when they chose to rush us out of the dragon storyline, which they didn't have to do, and we got an end of dragons, naturally the question was... Guild Wars 3? And they didn't have Guild Wars 3 for us. Instead, what they had was this. A statement that they were never leaving Guild Wars 2. That Guild Wars 2 was always going to be supported. That even when they had other projects, Guild Wars 2 was getting steady development. That they had found a way, and that way was mini-X packs. Take heart, user base. We will never abandon your accounts. We will never abandon your accumulated gem store purchases. We will never abandon the commander. We have content for you. We are not turning away. There was even like an extra life admission from one of the bigwigs at the studio saying, hey, we kind of think maybe leaving Guild Wars 1 wasn't a great idea. Guild Wars 2 is for good. Yes, we're working on other projects. We can't really talk about those projects, but you know what? It's death for a studio to put all eggs in one basket. We are not walking away from this basket. Here's mini-X packs. What do you think? Right? That's the context we're in. So I think it's wrong for us to, after just a couple of these have come out, to say, oh, the whole point of them is to build to Guild Wars 3. Like, that's not right to me. I think they're building to something, but I think they're building to more mini-X pack stories. Why can that not be the thing? Right? Like, maybe I'm a sucker. The thing is, right, I genuinely do. I know that there's a lot of people online that think this way, and I think you're all wrong to think this, right? I don't take them for barefaced liars, right? Even in marketing, right? I think that they've got shit wrong over the years. They've said Heart of Thorns would have languages. They've said that there'd be Polymock in the game. They've said that there'd be Bar Brawl in the game. They've said that they were going to break the Trinity in a meaningful way and get away from Ros. They've said a lot of shit that never came true, right? But I don't take them for being barefaced liars. I take them for being idealists and artists that sometimes shit just doesn't kind of work out, right? And I take them for being cowards, right? Because the mea culpas aren't there. The blog posts aren't there saying, hey, we failed at this for A, B, and C, right? I do think that's cowardice. You could say it's because they don't have the communication avenues for that, right? Like, they don't have weekly dev diaries, and I think they should, where they can talk about this stuff. So I think they can be cowardly in their failings sometimes, but they're not liars, all right? So when they came out, even though it's to sell mini X-Packs, when they came out and said all that shit around EOD, right, at the end of EOD, I don't take them for lying. I think that they are going to keep going with mini X-Packs. So I think any plot stuff that we're setting up here is for mini X-Packs. And, you know, like, who gives a fuck about trilogies, all right? Like, a trilogy is not the only way to deliver a story, all right? You can tell a story in 2 chapters. You can tell a story in 4 chapters. You can tell a story in 7 chapters, as Rowling did with Harry Potter, right? Like, how many books is the Wheel of Time? Right, it's just, you know, the idea of a trilogy is kind of, it's quite connected to film, because there were a few success in the West film trilogies, right? Like, but I think it's kind of a very Western film-centric viewpoint. I don't think it's necessarily has to be something we hold to. I hope that there's an announcement, but if the next announcement is anything, I think it's going to be a mini X-Pack, and if these story hints are about anything, I think it's going to be a mini X-Packs. I will. So, having said all of that, I do think it's a bit weird we haven't had it yet, when in the previous years we'd had it early. So maybe they're building to something big. And listen, guys, if in a few weeks there is a Guild Wars 3 announcement, I'm still right about everything I said here. Okay? All right? Okay, whoa. I'm wrong, and I'm happy. I fully accept that I'm wrong if there's no more mini X-Packs. But I think, even if they do a Guild Wars 3 announcement, I think there'll be another mini X-Pack anyway. That's what I'm saying. I think that we're going to keep getting mini X-Packs anyway. Like, we could spend now the next hour... I'm not going to. We could spend the next hour of this video talking about how hard it is to do a sequel to an MMO. FF14 from FF11. RuneScape 3 and juggling RuneScape 3 and old school RuneScape, juggling retail WoW and classic WoW, you know, and how these projects came out and how they ended up being successful. You know, the attempt of EverQuest Next, remember, and how that failed. Like there's a lot to talk about there. What I will say is it can be done, that they can support both products. And I believe that supporting Guild Wars 2 means mini X-Packs. So for as long as that's the case, surely all this stuff we're looking at is mini X-Pack lead-ins. Surely. I don't know. And that's also why I think Guild Wars 3 should be another reality in the mists. And it can still have Sylvari on it and humans on it and Norn, but it is a different reality with a different history and so on. The idea that this is all a trilogy building to Guild Wars 3, I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. I will eat my hat. Talking about cowardice, talking about mea culpas. All right, come to this stream and laugh at me. All right, if I'm wrong, come and laugh at me. But you know, I think I've been logical about where I got to with that. All right, shit, Jesus Christ. All right, let's move on. I'm labouring the point, aren't I? What else is there to do on this job? Am I right? So one final little bit here. So yeah, remember we put a pin in that thing? Temporarily losing their memories as we know that they get them back. Yeah, I was under that impression too, but here's a little chat about it. Wait, do we know that the wizards will eventually get their marriages back? I heard some stat the other day that something like 2/5 of all divorces, they get back together. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So look, to anyone lonely out there, drinking beer, getting your beer belly, sitting there in a wife beater in a dark room, alone, wishing that you'd treat your wife better. 1 in 5 of them, she'll come back. 2 out of 5 of them, she'll come back. There's still hope. There's still hope for you, buddy. Come on, get up. Let's go out for a run. Wait, how do we know that the wizards... Do we know that the wizards get their memory back? Except for Waiting Sorrow. We've not seen... By the way, and if she got full ascension, and she is the outlier for this, we've not seen them regain memory on any wizards, have we? Dagda doesn't have it back. Lear's memory was only dredged up a bit because he was possessed by Cryptis, which I don't consider a normal thing. Mabon can't remember things clearly, according to his journal in Secrets of Obscure. And Zoja should have comforted us, saying, yeah, I won't remember you for a time, but I eventually will. If she'll get her memory back, no. But I really love your explanation of the Seer Ascension being more religious. I think that makes sense. I mean, it clearly grants people power, Isgarin is powerful, and that's how he ascended. But the broken seer tablets we found on map 2 point to the seers being a strangely religious people, in that they revere none but themselves. We've no need of gods or spirits to guide us. We rise to God ourselves through our rights, through our own strength. No, I think they get real strength. It's a tangible thing, guys. Anyway, SDO came back and said, maybe I misremembered. I thought it was established that eventually the memories start to come back. And even Zoja, directly after the ritual, didn't view us as a complete stranger, but I could be wrong. I haven't played Secrets of the Obscure since its release. I'm with SDO on this. I think SDO is right. I think there are more than enough examples of people getting flickers of their memory back. Like that thing about Mabon. Where is it? Mabon can't remember things clearly, according to his journal in Secrets of the Obscure. Yeah, but again, you've twisted that document. That document explicitly says he's getting flashes of blood and memories and things that he didn't have before. He's getting memories back. I'm sure, look, people definitely have the capacity to get their memory back. And I think Zoja does count as an example, and I think Lear counts as an example. The only one who seems to be completely, like, under, you know, the spell and has really forgotten a lot seems to be Dagda. I can't remember any examples from Dagda about her past and about her history. You know, just the simple fact that Secrets of the Obscure had these big collections about each of their pasts. You know, Lear's interested in where he came from and stuff. I think that the memory, I think it is a bit flexible. I think it can come back. And by the way, let's go back to this deceit thing. What if you guys found out it was possible that Isgarin could always have restored these people's memories? What if Isgarin was capable of just giving them back, but instead he let Waiting Sorrow be tormented and go running off into the wild and all of that? I don't know. I think Isgarin is at his best when he's an arrogant dickhead making decisions for other people that he shouldn't be, where he thinks he's the one in the know, so he gets to decide. That's where he's most compelling. And most horrible, of course, at the same time. But that's the character I want to see that they write. And so in service of that, okay, I want all of that, but then also maybe for him to have been justified in the end. I don't know. So, yeah. But I think that the memory thing is more flexible than we've been led to believe, perhaps. For anyone curious, here's some information about different ascensions and Waiting Sorrow. Okay, to clarify the difference between Seer and Wizard ones, in Chapter 8, Isgarin, you said this. The Seer version of the rite is raw. It's how I ascended. In Chapter 7, Isgarin said, the rite I performed on my fellow wizards is more subdued. Precise. What does precise mean, by the way? That it doesn't affect them physically? In the story journal, but it does, though. In the story journal, the commander describes the wizard ascensions as the lesser version. Several people in chat talked about how Waiting Sorrow has special combat effects. However, that's beside the point. Besides, those effects aren't unique to her. The big colourful telegraphs are just scaled up versions of early Spear 5. And Waiting Sorrow uses a spear, so it makes sense. The arcane flow infusion effect is on her, but that's shared among all the wizards. One of the better places to see that is Secrets of the Obscure Chapter 6, Secret Tower of Secrets, where Lear, Dagda, and Mabon are all present, and you can see they all have the same visual effect on them when they fight. In the same instance later, when the wizards were opening a door, Zoja, who wasn't a wizard yet, stood in front of Isgarin, absent at the time, and even she got the effect on her. We've seen Isgarin with the same effect too, so it's not an indicator of being fully ascended or not. So, yeah, and by the way, I sort of wonder if we made too much of her combat animations. From a logical standpoint, I agree. Waiting Sorrow having the full ascension would make more sense, but from a story standpoint, I wish Arenanet can turn it around, because her abandoning the wizard's court during the Cryptis invasion is bad enough. But her having probably more powerful than anyone in the court except Isgarin and abandoning the court in times of need is even worse. Not to mention that Isgarin saved her and she just wandered off twice. Arenanet used the commander as a mouthpiece in Janthit Wilds to tell us that we're supposed to feel sorry for her. But she's already like one of the worst excuses of a sympathetic character Arenanet has ever written. And adding full ascension on top of that is just going to hurt her character even more. Oh, So good comments. So much to chew on. I know what you mean. And I'll throw a little bit in there as well. If she's fully ascended, it does fix one line. That really cringy line where it was like... Oh, wait, hold on. At the end of JW, we go to the Wizard's Tower, and two people are going to fight. And a third person says, oh, I got to step in, or she's going to kill him. Was the suggestion that Dagda was going to kill Isgarin, or was the suggestion that Waiting Sorrow was going to kill Isgarin? Because that hit me as such a weird line. Like, why are we suggesting they're stronger? I think it was about Waiting Sorrow, right? But that line works if she's fully ascended. It works if she's fully ascended. Because not only does she have full ascension, putting her on the same fucking power level. God, we're talking about anime power levels here, aren't we? But at the same time, she's, you know, a renowned, incredible voice of the Coden with her own skills and talents and history, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. This is the unfun lore talk, the technicalities of rituals. Maybe Hardy, but I will say this, all right? This, to me, is way more fun, for some reason, whatever reason, probably because it's more tangible, than discussing the mechanics of Void. That fucking ruined EOD for me. The way they did the Void, and the way... That was awful. This is way better. I think this is way more easy to track. So, that we're definitely doing better here. And it's way more fun than talking about how and why the Foundry works and what exactly the Titans are versus the White Mantle last year. That was also all awful. So I'm actually enjoying this. I think it's laced with a little bit of bitterness. A tiny bit. No, that's too strong. I take that back. I'm enjoying this. I like talking about this. Okay, there you go. All right, Q&A section is done. That's the first hour of the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's move on. Let's play the game. I should probably set up timestamps, right? Okay, so who are we going to play? Well, first thing I want to do is I want to go onto my Conduit, who I've played a lot of. And I'm fully expecting Arenanet to nerf before I'm able to utilize it in Legendary Mode Ura. But what we're going to do here is we're going to play the story. I want to see what the hell the Razza stuff is, alright? Simple as that. Getting a bit closer to daily. By the way, got a bunch of leftover points now. Let's start buying laurels, I guess. I always like getting laurels. Since the Wizard's Vault came in, stacking laurels is something I take a sort of perverse joy in. I'm looking forward to getting my 1000th laurel. So there you go, laurels come in. Okay, so we start the story and we see where we... Okay, oh, also, on my Troubadour, I did play the start of the story, obviously, and I did see the intro to the Troubadour. Was it Uzalon's Mechanical Orchestra, I hear you ask? No. Was it with... Marcello Giacchino or whatever his name was? No.
We're out here to hunt.
It was with the Silvari.
Unfortunately, there are others with more sinister intentions. If you can help us out around the camp, we can help you stop the inquest from succeeding at whatever they're planning.
I think this dialogue probably teared up. I didn't get a chance really to play much yesterday, so I didn't do all the hearts yesterday. Prologue on the sly. I was summoned to the Grove. By the way, look at this lovely outfit here. Isn't this good? I actually really like it with the default dyes too. I really... Look, I know a lot of people do this and it's kind of like a degen thing or whatever, but I really want to play more human females just because Fashion War actually feels good on them. Right, when you just scroll through the outfits, they're all really good. I don't know. At least I have 2 human males now. I have Lord Odrin. Sorry, not Lord Odrin. Odrin Westar. I have Odrin, and I also have... who's my other human male I was playing the other day? I don't know. Anyway, I got her as a Mesmer, and she's alright. Okay, so yeah, and here's what happened. I wasn't blown away by this, guys. I'm not going to actually show the dialogue and stuff. We'll just read this. I was summoned to the Grove by Dagonet to meet with one of the Secondborn, who recently returned home after a long journey. For a moment, when I was playing that, I was like, oh shit, Firstborn? But no, it was a Secondborn. I found Cillian passionately regaling passerby with a tale of heroics? Passers-by? Passerbys? Is that what that is, really? They'd recently returned to the Grove for a long voyage across Tyria, collecting stories to share back home. They called themselves a troubadour. See, you might think, oh, they came from the island, but that's not possible. So troubadours are not from Castora, they're from somewhere else as well. A little hint about another place off-screen. And being an adept mesmer like myself, They have learned to twist these tales with their illusory magic. Cillian explained that storytelling and music are excellent motivators in a skirmish, inspiring awe in their allies and unnerving their enemies. They urge me to craft my own tales too, to see what power they may bring to battle, and I'm sure I have a few to tell. It was that simple. It was pretty brief. I liked the place that they set it. It was located like in that bar. And it made me feel nice, you know, because last year we started in the Grove, and that was a cool opener too. I was so excited. Remember right at the start of the Janthir Wilds LP? The Troubadour was billed as a Sylvari cultural thing over the summer, so that tracks. Well, there you have it. Right, let's see what this one's like. This one's, as far as I can make out of all the classes, this one has to be the juiciest, right? It has to be. I mean, Razza. Frode has mailed me. Okay. Strange Whispers. Wayfinder. One of our researchers in the Astral Ward has made a peculiar discovery. Like you, she's a revenant. She's currently stationed in Lornar's Pass, supporting the Dermond Priory with the archival updates at their headquarters. If you'd be willing to meet with her, I'd appreciate it. You know, I really was wondering if this was going to be Ritlock, because you know how Ritlock kind of just popped up under the crab in Lion's Arch, and it was like, oh, you're in the story? It would make sense to me if at least one of the prologues sort of had him in it, and had him just before he walked there or something, but I guess not. So there's a random Norn Revenant who has somehow met with Razza, it seems. So let's see. Oh, by the way, guys, we're going to hit our next AP reward today. Like I say, like the last 4 I've got have been on videos. But if you check this out, I got 49,496. We're going to get, in just 4 AP, we're going to get one. And the reason for that is because last night, after raiding, I did fractals. And for the first time, I did the Janthir Wilds fractal on challenge mode. So I did stream this. We did play it, if you guys remember, Kinfall. But I did it at a low scale with you guys, remember? And I've done it a ton of times in the fractal quick plays. I've done it loads and loads and loads, but only ever low scale. I had never done this at T4. Never. And last night, I played it not just on T4, but with the CM, and I one-shot it, including the achievement where no one can get defeated. So it's not a very hard one. I was told, and I don't really even know what the mechanics are, I was told by the people I was playing with that there's like an up and down thing. Sometimes you want to jump up, sometimes you want to stay down. And I was told to just stand with the stack, basically, and they would solve the mechanic for me. As long as I was standing with my allies, I would never get it wrong. So I just put a personal marker on one of the players. And that's what I did. I just did damage and I followed the player and that was it. I mean, and we killed it and no one went down, let alone defeated. But there is kind of a cool mechanic early on. You know, you're spending the light to open the doors and therefore slowly you're losing the light and there's wisps trying to take it away from you. It seems like it has the making of an okay fractal. But, you know, it was a simple one. It was a quick one. I don't actually fault it for not being that hard because, again, it's kind of like an intro to CMs, I guess. Not every CM needs to reinvent the wheel and do it like basically a raid boss. So I'm happy with Kinfall. I actually am happy. I'm obviously missing this 5 AP. That's just for beating it 7 times. But I've done it once. So yeah, it was quite funny to get like 4 achievements all at once. I got the meta and everything. But it bumped my AP up really high because I'd never done it. Which means almost anything we cover on today's episode of the Let's Play, we're gonna get, we're gonna start rocketing through it. So, okay, so hold on. I thought it was gonna be a Norn. Why did I think it was gonna be a Norn? Because a Norn was speaking to me and referenced one of his researchers. But he was actually just talking about the Astral Ward. So it's another Char. Oh my god, this guy looks like Ritlock, sort of. I mean, he's in the Revenant gear more than anything else. Hey, I'm with Orax. Hey, that looks pretty good. Yeah, and you get the fancy tail on a Char, don't you? That's so good. I'm just Guild Wars 1 monk. Oh, there's no squad? Yeah, well, I don't know how many squad-related things there are going to be to play with me today, but you're welcome to come. Hello? Learn more about Conduit Revenants. God, we got the good Priory music here. How can you ever fault the Priory music?
A moment, please. I'm... Lost them again. Sorry. I knew you were coming. Should have been more prepared. But you're a Revenant too, right, Wayfinder? Well, of course you are, or they wouldn't have sent you to me. Well, the other day I connected with something. Not an echo or a ghost. No, something different.
Different how?
Whoever I channeled, they weren't dead. And they were more curious than anything I've reached. Very self-aware. I haven't been able to connect with them since, but now I feel observed, you know? How about this? I think I heard their name. Take a deep breath and think Raza. As clearly as you can. Beckon them forth.
I know Raza. I'll give it a go.
Knowledge is the
Anything?
Not yet.
Hello again.
I didn't think we'd meet again so soon.
I am eager to bear witness to your dauntlessness and feats of heroism in the new world. Allow me to aid you, hero of Tyria.
Guess it worked, huh?
Wow. I thought for a second that Raza wasn't even really going to speak to us, but no, that was all right. Do you know what I think is fantastic, actually? Look at this, ready? This line of dialogue here. I didn't think we'd meet again so soon. Do you know how hyper-specific that dialogue is? The only people who are... so that voice acting is what I mean specifically. Think about that. They just paid how many voice actors to do that line, but so few people will ever hear it, right? Like, this is Commander dialogue that only Revenants will hear. And at that, only Revenants that have done the Fractal event already. And then it's broken down into race. And then it's broken down into sex. And then it's broken down into the 3 languages that they voice act for. It's crazy if you think about it, really. It's really cool. So, yeah, so he speaks to us. He doesn't really talk about who he is or what he does. I would love to have another account that didn't do the Fractal event and see how the scene goes there. I assume they just cut these 2 lines out. Hello again, and I didn't think we'd meet again so soon. And that I know Raza. Maybe it would just be, I'll give it a go. And then it plays out exactly the same. But okay, cool. So we learned the conduit. And then Lawson Mariner has messaged us. Okay, so that's that intro. Do we want to do another intro? Is there another class you guys want to see me do? Oh, shit. Wait. Let's speak to the lady. Oh, you can check that? Yeah, because you didn't do the fractal event, did you? Uh-oh. I appear to have lagged out. We are actually trying to connect. You can tell because the play button's grayed out at the moment. And I can't get in. Damn, this happened on the last part as well. I logged out and then back in and it kind of broke. Can we get on another character? No? Please tell me I'm still live at least. Yeah, look at that. Not able to access the login server at this time. Shit, did Guild Wars... Please tell me Guild Wars didn't just go down. 1, because that never happens. 2... Dun dun... Dun, 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 dun. Because we haven't actually done anything yet. No, I am not live. Oh god, that's so good. It's like when people say, no, I can't hear you. Like you're in Discord, you say, have I lagged out? Can anyone hear? And the response is, no, I can't. It reminds me of an old Pokemon joke as well, where the SS Anne goes down. Some of the best episodes from the OG. And they're all bobbing in the water. And the ship captain says, is everybody here? Raise your hand if you're not here. Okay, it's all good. Let's go. And of course, Ash and Co. were not there. Jesus Christ. That just popped about 100 error messages up to me. And faded the screen weirdly. I can't get in. EU seems to work. I'm experiencing the same on NA. All right, I'm swapping to EU then. Oh, content creation privilege. Oh, God, I'm getting all kinds of errors. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna close the game. Sorry, guys. Oh my God, I almost just closed the stream. End task. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Oh no. What about playing the game? I can't log in at all. I can't log in. Oh, if only we had saved all the questions for now. Do you know what? That's what I should do, guys. What I should do is I should save in the pocket some like content to do when like it all breaks, so that we don't slow down. You know, that's the right move. I'll tell you what, actually, though, I might have something. I might have something. No, I'm joking. Oh, yeah. What the hell? The error message I got trying to log in is the code you have entered is invalid. DDoS like FF14. I can't get in. Look, guys, I think what I might do, guys, is I might just end this episode here and actually not call this a part of the Let's Play. Just call this a bonus Q&A episode. Show it in full, you coward. Oh, I feel like such a dick joking about that, because someone once upon a time was enthusiastic about it. What the hell? If I'd only been on EU, we never would have struggled here. Time to boot up Oblivion. Yeah, I've got the challenge at the moment of finishing this Visions of Eternity LP while personally playing Oblivion to get back into it and remember where I was, so that we have a smooth segue. I can't imagine the servers will allow you to transfer the state. Yeah, guys, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really hate the idea of just streaming a black screen for ages. So look, I'm gonna leave it there. Sorry, guys, cut early. But look, we will have, I promise, we will not talk about the Waiting Sorrow Ascension stuff, or Ancora, or nitpick and quibble details next. I promise we won't. I will do some questions or some interesting observations. If you guys have got reviews and things about the game, if you want to talk about masteries or gameplay or anything, we might do a couple. But I promise, next time, full, proper episode, not 1 hour. And we will we'll play a lot of the game, and we'll get a lot of achievements, and we'll do a lot of fun things. Okay? Try one more time. Yeah, it's not doing it. Guys, thank you. And anyone begging for a question in the live chat right now, just drop it as a YouTube comment and we'll throw it up. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for the bonus episode. Damn, yeah, I cannot get in. Oh, well.